Before you jump into tanking, there are a couple of things you need to know and a few settings that you should set that will make your life a little easier. That's what this video is going to cover. The first thing we're going to talk about is tank stance, what it is, how to turn it on. The next thing we're going to talk about is Enmity generation, specifically by using provoke and your ranged attack. Next, we're going to talk about the enemy list and how to use it, and we'll wrap up this section with some information about arm's length, specifically what it is and when to use it. So without further ado, let's dive in. I want to take a moment to talk about the ways that you generate aggro in Final Fantasy XIV as a tank. No matter what job you've selected, every tank has an ability that generates increased enmity and also has a ranged attack. For example, if you are playing as a Dark Knight, it's Unmend. If you're playing as a Gunbreaker, it's Lightning Shot. It's essentially the same thing. It's a ranged attack that increases aggro. You want to put this, whatever it is for your job, put it someplace where it's very comfortable to use because you will be using it a lot. Provoke is another ability that helps generate enmity. Provoke is a job-wide ability, so no matter what tanking job you play, you will always have this for the role. So it's a role ability. Make sure you put that also someplace where you can access it very quickly, because you will have to use this occasionally if this is on cooldown, because these don't share a cooldown. The last ability is going to be your tank stance. That's what it's referred to. If you forget to turn it on, don't worry. Everyone in the group will remind you very politely. They will just simply say tank stance. Tank stance is means turn on your ability that increases your enmity generation. So once you turn it on, it just stays there. So that's the first thing you need to do whenever you enter a dungeon, is make sure you turn on your tank stance. Every tank job has a tank stance. It's just all called something different. For Dark Knight, it's called Grit. For Warrior, it's called Defiance. Just turn it on before you start your dungeon. Otherwise, you're going to get yelled at. And rightfully so. You need to make sure that that's turned on because it's really important. Next, we're going to talk about the enemy list. This is a picture of the enemy list. And we're going to break this section down into two parts. First, we're going to talk about these icons, and next, I'll actually show you the enemy list in the HUD. The enemy list has 4 different icons from top to bottom. You have that orange triangle, the red square, the green circle, and the yellow triangle. The one that you're trying to get or achieve as much as possible is the one that's highlighted there, the red square. Each of these measures how much threat you have on an enemy. The red square means you have top threat and the enemy is attacking you. As a tank, that's what you want. If you see any other icon or color or anything except that red square, that means you don't have aggro anymore, and you need to click on that enemy and attack it with either one of your normal attacks or an enmity generating attack, such as your ranged attack or provoke. One of the more important things that you will need as a tank in Final Fantasy XIV is the enemy list. To access the enemy list, click System from your Systems buttons and click HUD Layout. The enemy list is right here, and it's very important that you put this in a place where you can see it, and it also has enough room to expand to cover all of the enemies that are going to be on your screen. This is how you're going to tell if you have aggro on a mob or if you don't. And if you don't, that means it's attacking someone other than you, which is bad. You want it attacking you. So make sure you have that enemy list someplace where you can see it and someplace where it has enough room to go down, because that list will start to get kind of long in the later levels. So just make sure that's there, because you're going to need it. Arm's length is an ability that melee jobs get. And what it does is it creates a barrier that nullifies most knockback and draw-in effects. It's right there on the screen, which is very helpful for certain boss fights. There is an additional effect which we are interested in as tanks. Whenever an enemy hits you, they are slowed by 20%. it lasts for 15 seconds. So when do you use arm's length? The answer is in between pulls, and what better way to illustrate this than with good old MS Paint. So let's say you're a tank and you're gonna pull some dudes. Let's have these red dots here indicate mobs that you're gonna pull. And then you're gonna have some mobs that are over here. There's a bunch over here, and your goal as the tank is to bring these two together so everybody can use their AoE spells and things go a lot quicker. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull from A to B, right? Well, as you aggro everything in A and then you start taking the path and you start running to B, this is when you use arm's length, right in here, right after you pull A and then you're on your way to the next pull in B, you're going to use arm's length, because what's going to happen is that every time a mob hits you, they are going to be slowed down by, I think it's like 20 or 30%. This way, when they get slowed down, they don't continue to wail on you as you're moving the pack to the next pack. Because if you don't use arm's length or sprint, then they're just going to keep on hitting you until you get here. And then when you get here, everything's going to hit you. And then your healer is going to be like, oh God, I got to keep them alive. So healers like it when you use arm's length, and you're going to use it right in here, right when you're pulling from A and you're on your way to the next pack in B. Hopefully that clears it up. Use that arm's length whenever you can, or whenever, yeah, in there. And that is all of the basic information that you need to know to start tanking in Final Fantasy XIV. To recap, tank stance is something that you turn on at the beginning of every instance. Make sure you do that. Enmity generation is done using provoke or your ranged enmity generating attack. Use that to pick up aggro or threat on enemies that are attacking anything but you. You can determine what is attacking anything but you with the enemy list. Make sure that you have it in a good spot and that you are paying attention to anything that doesn't have that red square. Last, arm's length. Make sure that you use it in between pulls to reduce the amount of damage that you take. That is going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found the video helpful and useful. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I tried my best. I hope you enjoy tanking, and we'll see you out there, and also see you in the next video. Bye!